Yeah. I like.
It's always like
It's Friday.
it's always so cold in like the grad office. Like yesterday, I was going from the grad office to the lab, and it was like two different planets in there. And then I'd go back to like grab something, and I'd be like, "Oh man, it's so cold in here." And then I'd go back into like the computer lab for like to help people with something. I'm like, "Man, it's so hot in here. Like, there's no in between."
That's why I've always wanted to do an indoor thermal map, right? Where you actually can plot.
That would probably
Wouldn't that be fun?
that would be fun.
Like for facilities, you'd see all the differences and like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
This room is like 20 degrees colder than the
Yeah.
one right next to it.
Shannon's office is like 10 degrees colder than mine. Like if she shuts her doors, like it's an icebox in there.
You like the little tubes through the walls.
Yeah, it's
The
still.
size of the tube depends on how much temperature differential there is,
Yeah.
balance everything out.
All right, so I've just got a quick thing to show. I don't have a full lab presentation today, but I'll show you what I'm working on. So we had a meeting with facilities maybe a week ago to talk about like ways that the department can help out with some of the layers that they're interested in. So we can have undergraduates working with the GIS core facility, working on projects, and one of those projects could be facilities, and like just helping them create the data layers that they need. It's a good deal for everybody. And so I was starting to assemble some of the stuff that we had laying around already, and one of them was the drone flight that I did last year of the brain. I published the orthophoto, and then I was like, oh, I might as well publish the mesh. Like that would be nice for them to have. And so, but it took, there were some interesting things, and I don't think I had done this from Terra, but, and I will put this in a lab report, but one of the interesting things about Terra is when you are exporting a mesh, you have a lot of different options to choose from. And, you know, some of these are standard things, OBJ and PLY. Some of them I hadn't heard of, like I3S. Well, it turns out I3S is the like SLPK if you've ever published a mesh. So ArcGIS Pro uses SLPK to use something layer package. What's the S? Whatever it is. Too many acronyms. So I3S is that. So that took, you know, a second because I was like trying to like, oh, I've got an OBJ. How do I get that in there? And there is a mechanism, but it's not awesome. But this goes directly there. The other thing that's a bit of a catch-all, and again, I'll document this, but I want to mention it while I'm thinking about it, is getting your coordinate systems right on this is tricky. As we talked about, like in advanced remote sensing, getting a mesh to like sit on the ground exactly where it's supposed to be can sometimes be difficult. And so there's a couple of places for those of you running Teradata to declare your input datums. It's not labeled great. It's base station center point settings, but that's where you would specify what your coordinate system is. But this project is run, so you can't do it here. But this is cool. This is where you would set that. So for us, it's 983.2011 if you're up to the RTK correction. It has. And then it's a little more complicated than that because there are actually three datums. You won't remember these numbers, but 6317, 6318, and 6319. And I still don't know exactly what the difference between all of those is. So this is 6319. I mean, I don't know. Anyway. And then it's actually even harder to find your output, which is, I'm finding it again now.
So look at the bottom left corner.
Here it is, the bottom left corner. This one?
It disappeared when you open that menu.
Here.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
a menu.
Yeah, that's an A menu, sure. No, this is good. No, I like it. Okay, that's even easier than mine. The place I found it is under control and checkpoints. And if you go in here, this is not what you want, but this is what you want. So thanks for the tip.
Yeah.
And then you can declare those. And then the other weird thing that I found was, so your vertical datum, there's only, well, this is EGM 96, which is a gravity related datum. The other one that's really common is EGM 2008. And then the other one that's really common is just an ellipsoidal. And I had a lot of trouble getting to the next thing that I'll come back to, which is it's easy enough to bring these things right into ArcPro, like they do just drop right in, but to publish them as a web scene so that you can play around with them on a web map, I had to make sure that this was created in Web Mercator as a datum, which is really unusual. Usually we make our meshes in like UTM or something like that. So I'll spend the next week trying to like figure out, like to some extent, I mean, I don't know, it's really time consuming to play with these things. Like the payoff is low because I've got a workflow that works. So I'll probably just document that, like leave some question marks about what we don't know. But yeah, getting a mesh from Terra to ArcGIS Online and that whole stream is really valuable, right? Because it's a nice way to being able to share your stuff on the web is nice. All right, so, Liam, are you talking today?
Yeah, I've got a shorter one. Okay. Okay, so this is kind of so this is an example of one of the reconstructions I did with this CyberColor. And this is just an image of it. So this was just run with like the default settings. I thought like it actually turned out really well. There were some concerns when we were out there because it was me and then another one of the staff members, Becca, was like interested in using learning the handheld. So we both kind of like were using it while we were down there. And both of us like had, since we didn't really have like any experience, we were kind of like unsure with like the quality of the point cloud and like how good the data was. But for it to turn out like this was actually really cool. And actually like really exciting because it turned out a lot better. It got a lot of details, especially in stuff like the stones, which is kind of like what is important for like these sorts of stuff, which is really cool. Yeah, this is a video. I did a little this, so yeah, this is a bit closer and also just a video. So yeah, you can see like a lot of the stones, and you can all like even the smaller stones turn out really well, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then like some of the stuff on top of like the surface layer didn't turn out as well, probably just because of how I was collecting the data. I was more like down in the pit, which is fine though because we weren't necessarily interested in that part as much. But yeah, especially for like this whole like right here, like the rock walls and stuff turning out like really well was really exciting.
Yeah, this is great.
So the other thing is like when you get kind of close to it, it gets a bit fuzzier. So that's something I want to play with and just like try increasing the amount of splats that they use to see if that makes a difference.
Yeah.
A little bit. So that's kind of the next step. So where I plan to go with that. Yeah, so that kind of leads us to the next thing is so we kind of I realized after I ran another one before that one, and then I ran that one. And then when I tried to run another one to like start playing with the settings to see how it changed it, it wouldn't let me create anything. So I kind of made like a calculated risk, I guess, because I wasn't sure if it was like 2 total or if it was like a 2 use cap like at a time. So after speaking with David, the first one I did was not like he wasn't as interested in seeing like it was cool, but he was more interested in like the one that I just showed. So I just decided to, as a test, to delete the first one from CyberColor just to see if that would let me process another one. It did not, which was unfortunate. So I'm just gonna have to wait until that issue gets settled before I can continue with the CyberColor stuff.
So an update on that, we got a quote for the software.
Okay.
It's $2,500 for the year. And The only thing that's delaying us a little bit is IT has to review all new software purchases now.
Okay,
So it's in their queue to review.
Okay.
So hopefully not more than a few days.
okay, that should be fine. So in other news, I started running the Peru the map rock that I showed last semester for those who were here. It was the one like oblique flight I did in Peru. And I just wanted to see if like the images from that would kind of create something well in PostShot. So I started running that over the night. I haven't checked on it to see how it turned out, so I'm probably gonna do that after this. Yeah, so some goals. So proposal defense is on Wednesday. I want to get back to the police report stuff because I kind of had to shift focus to my proposal for a while, and then just continuing the splats, and then also at David's lab yesterday, I spoke with Liliana, who was in charge of the excavations at the top of the temple, which is the splat that I just showed. So she should have like measurements and documentation for a lot of the stuff. So I'm gonna get those from her so I can start looking at comparisons. Yeah.
That's a pretty good list, and I hate to make a suggestion, but it'd be really fun to get like 3D printed models of some of these things if you haven't done that yet. Like especially like the big map rock, what you mentioned that kind of made me think of it, but like being able to kind of hold that in your hand and kind of look at it, like the digital models are fun, but so are the physical models. So maybe give that some thought, not like for next week, but
yeah,
over the next
I was
week or
kind
two.
of interested in learning that stuff. Just out of my own curiosity. So yeah, I can start taking a look at that.
You can start with some of the like just the training on 3D printing and just like how to do anything, right?
Okay,
Start small and
okay, I can do that.
in related news also, Gianna is going to be able to join us for GIS Day. So
Very cool.
I will say that.
Awesome.
Alright.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Thanks.
So this week was a big week, surprisingly. It was supposed to be a training week. And then I was looking over one of the documentations for ArcIndoors, specifically, like, I was trying to figure out if you can put it into Scene Viewer. And then I scrolled all the way to the bottom, and it said how to get 2D, like CAD data, into 3D. So I said, I'll follow it. And great results. But before that, I was trying to figure it out on my own, how to get the model. So last week I mentioned I kind of like this Lego floor plan style. And this would be like a good goal to see it from above. I was able to accomplish this week.
Wow.
I'm very excited. So I tried trying like the absolute height settings when you make a local scene. So this was using the 2D, trying to figure out like what it would look like. But I knew this wasn't like a great model because obviously it's just the building, but big. So I also took the time to recalculate all the height fields because they were kind of random. I guess the way I put it in like last semester. So I made sure that the level ones matched up with the units. So if let's say like a unit is on level 2, it has to obviously be the same height as level 2 in the levels field. So then I tried with that, making all the floors individual. This was a good step to kind of figure out how to get them to all be like their own height instead of one blob. But this was not the best result we've had so far. So then I found a workflow, I linked it here. I was gonna go through it, but I realized my presentation would be longer than like Liam's proposal. So I'm gonna add it to the wiki once I like get this like fully down. I'm gonna do it a couple more times. Because I also want to get an estimate of the full process from like making it 2D to making it 3D and try to figure out how long that would be.
I mean, I think if you get to the point where you've got something that you want to record, like let's do that, because then that's a thing that like really can pay off long term. Like wiki stuff is good and you should do that, but like we could record a 40-minute video or whatever it is, like just that'd be amazing.
I'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
So this is what it looks like. So there's 2 ways to show. So in Indoors, just to give a refresher, there's a couple of different layers that come when you make an indoor data set. So there's facilities, which is the building itself. And then there's also units, levels, and details. So levels are obviously each level of the building, and then units are each room, and then details are things like walls, doors, windows, and then annotations are things such as toilets or like little things they'll put on. So this is what it looks like when the facilities is turned on. So you're able to see the building. I think it's interesting. These are both in Scene Viewer, that's why I put Scene. How it's like on top of the building, which is not the cutest look. So that's something I'm definitely gonna work on. But here is it without it. So you can look down at the buildings and you can see each room,
Wow,
and you're able to add labels for it too.
cool.
And I have better screenshots here of what that looks like from the side. And then it's interesting that the ground floor is like underneath the model here. So I guess I would have to make my own base map for some of these, or like fully make the heights a bit higher than they would normally be.
That's probably what I would do, yeah. That's an interesting cartographic problem though, like. You really do want a basement to look submerged. We'll give that some thought.
Yeah. And then here's it with I don't know why I put that as absolute height. I guess I copy pasted and never changed it, but here's it from above just with one floor filtered. So this is an indoor viewer. So I'm very happy with how this turned out, especially for the first try.
Yeah, it's great.
And then here's it zoomed in, so like a good perspective, because you can select the floor and then select the room, and it will show you like different details about it. So I'm going to work on the pop-ups for these and see like how useful I can make it. And then some issues, for some reason, the search bar in indoor viewer only lets you search for levels, not units. I've never had this issue with 2D before, so it was probably just a mistake I made in the process. And another issue is that if you want to have the facilities layer and have the building actually show up in 3D, if you were to select the floor, it still has the facilities layer on, so you won't be able to see anything. So I wish there was a way to just like click the building and have the outside part either get super transparent or disappear and then zoom right to the floor. So that's something I'm going to work on. And then the issues with the basement.
The basement, could you just click off the base map layer and then you'd see it, right, to look under
Yeah.
the basement? Because as it is, it pokes that over, right? Because like, you can see out the window. So there is a little bit of it poking above to hint that it's there, which may not always be the case, but be kind of interesting to look through.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make like a good like demo model, especially for next week. To
Yeah.
see like what that would look like. But this definitely looks a lot better than 2D.
Yeah, it's great.
And then so what's next? I'm going to work on the symbology, try to make it the most useful thing as possible. See like specifically an indoor viewer, how much I can work with the pop-ups to make them look nice. If I can actually get pop-ups on the main screen instead of just to the side. Or maybe it's just making a different type of app, not indoor viewer, could be more useful.
Yeah.
And then fixing some of the issues. And then some use case, I was looking at it more and there's a lot of things you can do with routing. I have a friend who mentions like, please make this for the fine arts building and have it so it can take your GPS and kind of give you directions to that room. And I know that is possible indoors. I don't know if we have that specific extension.
We can. We definitely talked to them about it and they would turn that on for us. So
Awesome, yeah. So there's that, and there's also one that's specifically for facilities that we can get. So yeah, integrating more the indoor positioning. I know you wanted to integrate more real-time data, so that's something I'm gonna be looking into.
yeah, real-time data is of interest. And then also, I mean, the stuff that we talked about during the lab meeting, like highlighting where the classrooms are, right? So there's a ton of things, but like, I was just in a meeting this morning, we were talking about scheduling and where the classes and where the this, and like, if you could identify all classrooms on campus in a way that's like, because most of them are going to be on the first floor, but not all of them, right? So like, there's a bunch of stuff scattered around in basements and here and there. So being able to visualize, okay, where are all my classrooms on campus A, and then B, like what's the utilization of those classrooms across campus? I mean, that would be super useful to people.
Yeah, I know like very soon, once I get the search thing to work, you'll be able to search in, like you'll be able to filter by building and then search the exact room number you need, and it will zoom to that on the map. So, and then in the pop-ups, I could probably have what classes are there and what times.
So we talked about identifying like 10 buildings, like the top 10 of like, I'm looking forward to when we get like, I would also take a look whether 10 is the right number, like maybe we could figure out where the classrooms are and like try to get all of those buildings, and I think that would be a good start. So if we find a minute today, maybe we can show you how you can get that list. Cool.
So yeah, goals, keep working on this because I feel like this is a good way to go. And then now that I have this, I feel like this is going to be even better for my GIS Day poster, and then upload the article summary that I have like 2 sentences left for.
Everybody, don't forget GIS Day posters, thinking of topics and trying to get those underway. Pretty low stakes event, right? It's a friendly neighborhood get together about GIS. So don't overthink it. Like everybody's got projects that would be great to share. So, all right, thanks, Lily. Pass today, no problem. Evelyn?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So, going in a couple different directions for this presentation. The first one, I flew again at the Harold Moore Park. This time the data did, it was able to say, which I was happy about. Yeah, I did a similar flight path, but I changed some things, which I think really changed how the reconstruction would have looked. A 67% overlap, and it took 13 minutes, which I wanted to turn down the time taken because last time I went, it was 25 minutes and the amount of battery, I think it was on 25% by the time the flight ended.
Okay.
Um,
Just as a, and I really need to add this to the flight checklist, but you 67 is pretty low,
yeah,
as maybe you'll find out.
yes.
Yeah, okay, great.
I did not realize that. Yeah, there were a lot of things I was kind of unsure about. Also, like, I was kind of on a time crunch as to like when I could fly because my week was pretty busy the last past week. So it was the wind that was also a concern for how these photos turned out. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah. So this is how it looked. The ortho mosaic turned out pretty well. I mean, you can't see it right now, but zooming in, it's pretty accurate because it's so low to the ground. But the reconstruction was very iffy.
Okay.
So yeah, and this is how the point cloud turned out. It's a video. I'm definitely gonna refly and see how to do it better, but I guess it's a good learning experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know how they thought that, how the computer thought it was a hill or something.
So have
The
you done,
elevations.
so the reason this happens is because it's simultaneously trying to solve its position and it's like the physics of the camera. And because it has to do both of those things at once, if it starts to make an error, sometimes those errors drift and you can coalesce around a bad solution.
Mhm.
So that's what's happened here.
Yeah.
Not uncommon, there are ways to try to fix it. So if you haven't done like, have you done MTPs yet, in a reconstruction manual type points?
Mhm.
So anybody can show you how to put a couple of those down. Those can be an easy way to start to fix something like this. But it's one of the reasons why I'll always run it to step one, at which point you can diagnose whether the thing has come together or not before going to steps 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So far, everything you have done has worked and you've run it all the way through.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have it
But
on
it's super good to hit these. So then this is when you really start to understand like how stuff breaks and how it works. And so this is great.
I wasn't terribly happy with this, but I check in next week and reply. All right, so I also did a reading for the mini project that I'm working on. Just as like background information, this paper came out in 2016. It introduces YOLO and it compares it to other models such as DPM or RCNN. So the key features, rather than running through multiple stages, it uses a CNN for prediction. The content, it uses the entire image rather than looking at bits of the image. And also speed was the thing that through the tests that were run against these other models, it was just a faster product. Then there were limitations as well. YOLO, it found that with YOLO, there were struggles when showing small things together, and when they were clustered, just generally had a hard time detecting what they were looking at. Also, if it was an unusual shape that was in the image, it would have failed, and then there were also localization errors. These tests were both pattern and error analysis, and the article goes into a lot of depth on how YOLO is being trained, which was through like regression algorithms, which is not it took a lot to read through, but overall, this is what I gathered from the reading. And some updates on the project. So I got it to run on my Mac, which I was very happy about. Installing it was a problem because I had to install PyTorch separately. There's an issue with my Mac GPU, which I figured out, and so I got it to run on my own camera. But now the issues that I need to face are how to get it connected to Sharifa's model and figure out how to connect the live cam to the drone. I was able to connect the drone to my computer, but not have it on the live cam. So I have to figure that second part out first, and then those are in reverse order.
And yeah, step one is gonna be easy enough. We just need to figure out where Sharifa has her model saved.
Okay.
But it's just gonna be one of these files. It's just a .pt file, so we just need to find it and give it to you, and then you just use that file instead of that file.
Okay, so that should be good. It's just the second part is how to set up like the YOLO to the webcam. Yep. So the goals for next week. I'm gonna gather more articles to review for my master's thesis to get a better idea surrounding my research interests and where the gaps in the literature lie, and then start forming the 5 pitch ideas that you recommended. I'm gonna continue working on the mini project for YOLO and do more reconstructions, fly again at the park, see if 3D point cloud comes out better. And you said it was a problem with the overlap then?
That's where I'd start.
Yeah.
80 is a good baseline number. 70 is the lowest I would go.
Mhm.
So you're almost there at 67, but the more structured the environment, the easier it is and the less demand for overlap. So if you're doing something that's like campus, right, where like there's these neat sidewalks and square rectangular buildings and stuff like that, like it's easier to find the key points and build a structure out of that. Places that are really undifferentiated are harder. So like a big grass field is harder for it to find key points in. So more overlap helps kind of make it more likely that you're going to be able to match one image to the next.
Yeah. Yeah.
And forests are similarly
Okay.
difficult.
Okay, thank you.
Took 85, how many, 25 minutes to do a flight there?
Yeah.
That seems like a long time.
You that it took a really long time.
Flying slowly?
So one of the issues was that the orientation of the camera on the drone was not facing forward as it flew. It was like,
It was facing one direction, so it
I-
flew
Yeah.
sideways.
I didn't even know like if that's something that I did in the settings.
It is a setting.
Okay.
yeah, that's the only thing that I saw that was weird.
Yeah. But there was
Shouldn't affect speed though,
I wouldn't think, but
marginally. Yeah, it's mildly faster if it can do that, but not by much.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would check that when it's flying, how does it look in the sky? Is it just like
There's
poking along or is it?
it's not like slow. I don't think it wasn't.
How fast should the Autel be able to fly? 8 meters per second? Wait. Is that right? It's been a while since I've looked at it. Let's take a look at it
Okay.
and see.
Yeah.
But something sounds off. I think an area like that should be flyable in 8 to 12 minutes.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So 13 minutes I thought was normal, but it was.
Yeah,
very
I mean,
fast.
like, obviously, like the M350s might be different, but when we flew that one, that was like 7 minutes. So I don't think the Auto would be like that much longer.
Should be.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, we'll look at it.
Yeah.
Yep.
thank you.
These are all great things to find out. Like this is the time to figure that stuff out. So that you're getting out there and flying and running into this stuff. Like this is how you learn.
Mhm.
All right. That is it. Okay, great.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just gonna share in my altered workflow that Dr. Primo and I spoke to yesterday. That I tried out for my nighttime flights. So the problem is for each of my study sites, I have a nighttime flight and the RGB photos come out like this. And what we're traditionally doing is using the orientation data from the output of the project that uses these RGB images to correct the thermal project, but that's not gonna work when they're blurry and dark like this. So what I'm doing is it's basically the same, but I'm using RGB images from the same day, in this case, from the same day, from the daytime. So I load the thermal tips into a new Pix4D project and then edit the camera model. So replacing the camera parameters with the optimized parameters from another project, which is the daytime project that I've already ran. And then I do the same thing like I normally do, just set the coordinate system and then set the image coordinate system and then the output coordinate system. I'm basically just borrowing the RGB project from the same site, but on a different day during the daytime. And then for my processing, the processing options are basically the same. The only difference is that I put the optimized internal to none and external to all, which is reversed when I'm normally doing the daytime. I'll do the internal to all and the external to none. And this was my quality report from that. So it looks as it should. This is how it usually looks when I'm running daytime data. So that's a good sign. And then basically the rest of the steps, that's just the bulk of the changes right there. Go through the rest of the workflow as usual. I create the thermal JPEGs as normal. When it comes time to merge the project that I do with the thermal JPEGs and with the RGB, I just borrow that RGB project from the same site, but on a different day during the daytime, and merge those two with the thermal JPEGs, which are the thermal that I collected during the nighttime, because those images look really great. And, so yeah, unfortunately, I don't have.
Let me know when you get the one at my house. I really want to see it.
Okay, I don't have anything to show for it because it Pix4D shut down in the middle of doing it, so it's redoing it now. But the quality reports all look great, so I suspect that it's gonna look as normal. The mesh is gonna look fine.
It's a pretty novel thing, so we should highlight that in the thesis when you're writing it up. But it's a interesting technical challenge. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, if you get it figured out and you're happy with it, write it up in the methods section before you forget it. Now is the time.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. But yeah, so that if everything looks great when I'm done, I'll just continue to do that for the rest of the night flights that I have at my other sites. And so that's a goal, and then also just prepare for AG when it's GIS day as well. And start thinking about moving towards the analysis portion as I'm wrapping up running all my data and having all my meshes and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's great. All right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, so I don't have a formal presentation, but I can just talk for a little bit.
Sure.
The big news of the week is that I finished all the Part 107 videos.
Ah, good.
So those are all done. I'm currently doing a bunch of the practice tests, so I'm not like fully prepared to take the actual exam, but I'm working through those. Anything that I get wrong, I'm taking a note of so I can look back over it, all of that. So that was the big thing. The giant data set is still running through post shot of Carl's stuff. Right now, I think for this step of the camera pose, it's doing like 6% per day, so it's very slow. But it does show the matching points that it's created so far, a lot of it looks consistent, but there is one area where there's a bit of ghosting where it has two separate grounds.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure what that's going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's likely to happen, right? Like my sense after working with this particular data set a lot, that is going to be a challenge. So, don't be afraid to pull the plug if you get to the point where you really don't think it's going to work. Sounds like we've got a rough estimate of maybe 3 weeks to do the calculation. So that's a long time to spend on
It is.
something that maybe isn't going to
Yeah.
go.
I mean, the majority of it does look good. I think if we don't want to keep doing this one, we could just take a subset.
I have subsets
Yeah.
available, so
Yeah.
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I've got-
I mean, I have it separated with the folder structure that I think you made with the different heights, and then I think the different areas is how they were split up. not sure.
Yeah, there's that. But
There
I
is a
think
whole file system that separates them.
there's that, but I also created like smaller ones so that it was all like all the data, but like for this particular spot, so it'd be a good subset. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that might be good. I figure I'll keep checking in on it for the next few days, just see how it's looking, and if it seems like it isn't worth it, then we can shift gears, so.
In related news, I think you and I talked about the Arc Pro, 3.6 is gonna have support for splats.
Yes.
Carl got access to the beta for that. I don't know how he got it, 'cause he had to like get invited to do it, so he, I don't know, must have emailed somebody, but I'm gonna ask him for the file, we can get it installed, and we're gonna play with that on our end too.
Yeah, I think they said it's coming out in November, so it's not a huge wait, but that would be nice to start playing around with. Cause the big thing is like, how do you reference these
Right.
and match the coordinate system to
Right.
the real thing, so.
For scalability and context and all the stuff, like at some
Yeah.
point, you're gonna wanna have all of them, like in a scene, right? Like the stuff that you're doing, like,
Mhm.
here's my site and here's that splat and here's that splat next to it, and yeah. What did David say about the splats, by the way?
He said they looked really good. He was very excited about them.
Did you see like applications for them? I mean, that's what I'm like,
Yeah.
what can
so
you do for us?
he kind of was talking about the slats as like a two-way road, as far as like the measurements go, like referencing the images, like using the field measurements as a way to like proof the splats, but also using the splats as a way to proof the measurements, because like the user error, like measurements aren't necessarily correct.
Yes, that's true.
So that's kind of what he, like just kind of initial assessment, that's kind of what he was interested in.
Yeah, as an example of that, one of the other, somebody graduated out of the lab a couple of years ago, did a study where she was looking at trail erosion. So did a scan of a trail, and then the conventional way to measure it was to put like 2 stakes in the ground and then put a string across, and then basically calculate the area. But the string bows, right? Like any string suspended is going to have a curve in it, and so that actually, she made the argument that the 3D reconstruction is better in that sense because
Yeah.
you don't have that problem. So
Yeah,
it's
but also like
thought.
as far as like archaeologists go, like those measurements are done like by hand on a sheet of paper. So like stuff gets shifted a little bit kind of inevitably. So being able to have like make some adjustments to those numbers would be good.
Yeah. Cool. And it'd be interesting to compare measurements from the point cloud as well, right?
Mhm.
So you could take measurements there and compare all of them. That'd be really useful.
Mhm.
Cool.
I also did run one of the Sperry Glacier sites. I wasn't all that happy with how it turned out. So I'm gonna try a different one, but I also haven't gotten a chance to like really look at too much of that data.
Through PostShop.
Yeah,
So one of the problems so that was done with a GoPro, and the fisheye distortion on a GoPro sometimes, if not handled correctly, can lead to problems.
yeah.
Might be
I'm
with
wondering if that's some of it.
Yeah, I've kind of stopped using GoPros for that reason. Like the distortion at the edges of a GoPro is just too much, and so it causes other problems. And the thinking was It's got a really wide field of view, so registration between images is really good, right? It's really easy to get high overlap with a GoPro. But it has these other problems that
Yeah,
keep cropping up.
yeah, so I'll try a couple others, see how they do, but I think it would be good to test a local area with just a regular camera lens.
Yeah.
So if I get a chance, I'll like go out and find an area that has some nice foliage and take a bunch of photos and see how it turns out.
Cool.
So.
Cool. All right, thanks.
I got something.
So this is our update as a group. First, I was sick. I spent most of the week with a lost voice, and I couldn't communicate with my team because I couldn't speak. And you can kind of hear that I'm still like mostly recovered. It's like some lingering.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty much better. I got better yesterday from an industrial amount of honey ginger tea, which is very, very effective. Yeah, so I'm back.
Good.
We cleaned up the trail data. So with my group members, we sat in here and figured out how to edit the polylines in ArcGIS Pro using just an editor where you could click and modify the vertices. And so for this, we spliced off the areas where we got lost. There were like 3 where we kind of like got off the trail and got back on. So we were able to just cut it off. And then closed some of the unclosed loops that were just not closed because they were from different days or different tracks, just to make it more of a cohesive thing. Then I found that Arc Online is pretty difficult to figure out. I was trying to upload it to Arc Online and I was having some trouble. It took a lot of attempts. It was harder than I expected, but I got it to work after some time. I ended up creating a whole new project, putting the data in and then compressing the geodatabase into a zip file and then uploading that. And that worked. That was like my 6th try. So here's what it looks like.
Looks great.
This is publicly available if you want to use this for anything. I have the link. It's on the GIS Core like online thing. Yeah, with everything finalized, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, thanks for publishing that.
Yeah, it's online. I sent the link to you on Slack. Yeah, and I wrote a whole description and about how we did it, and why we did it. So yeah.
The question on the data, can you go back one?
This
Yeah. So this stuff looks doubled up.
that is. That's because just the way the routing worked out. We ended up walking over the same trail, like a couple of trails we walked over twice, just because of like the problem of how do you get all the trails as fast as possible. So
Right.
we ended up that specific section was like there's like 3 just for that one little strip. I don't know if I can make it so there's only 1, or I just decided to leave the as we walked it.
Okay.
But that's easy to change now that I know how to upload and edit the files.
I think it probably should be done because it's gonna improve the usability of it a good deal.
Sure.
If you guys don't want to do it, because I know it is time consuming, although
It's
like
not, I figured it out. Like I figured out how to editing the vertices is really, you just kind of click them and like press delete once you get the tool open.
Okay.
So
yeah, I would if you're up for it, I would push a little harder to just get the last bit cleaned up.
yeah, that's for sure. That'll probably take me not so long. So we had a peer editing activity in class for methods draft where other group members read ours. And as a result, we got to see how all the other groups were doing. Ours is coming along well. We're in about the same place, if not further along than the other groups, which is reassuring. A lot of people, like one group is like pretty much done, but a lot of them are still going out in the field because they were struggling with permission because they did things at local state parks. And so I think we're in a pretty good place. We began work on poster drafts, which was required. There's an interesting format required for this semester, which I'll put on next. It's a type of scientific poster I've never seen, but maybe you're more familiar with. But it looks like this is what we're supposed to do, where we kind of have like a big like picture in the middle and then all like the details on the outside. This was an example like of which is an interesting format. I was not familiar with this format, and they said we should do this to become familiar with different formats of posters, because last time they did a poster, it was the more traditional like method, like introduction methods, results discussion, like
Yeah,
so. Yeah, so this is, it's, the idea is it's more engaging at a shorter glance for when there's like 600 posters at the session or whatever it is.
Yep.
So like,
cool.
future plans. It's feeling a little nebulous among the group. People are a little confused about what next week is gonna look like. So we need to clear that up, get that ready, because next week, I mean, we got 5 weeks until we should have something presentable. It's not, I'm not so stressed because it's not the highest stakes thing. Like the point of the FRI, even though I'm engaged in the research, the point, what they're looking for isn't that we have cool discoveries. The point is that we know how we make the poster, we speak well publicly, and we do all these skills that we're supposed to learn through the program. So that's why I'm not feeling under a huge amount of pressure, even though I'm still very motivated. Next up, this is probably on Monday, is just gonna attempt to, from the USGS data, the default ground point classification had not that many points at all classified as ground. And we don't know if that's because they didn't see much of the ground at all, or if that's just the classification was a little fuzzy. So we can go back with the whole point cloud, run just the default one in Cloud Compare, see if that looks any different.
Yeah, I would recommend to run 3. One would be the one in Cloud Compare.
Yeah.
One would be, well, 2 of them would be in Arc. There's one that's part of the normal, like when you go to run tools in Arc, it's on that list.
Yeah.
That one's been updated, and the old one was really bad,
Yeah.
the new one is okay. And then there's a deep learning one.
Interesting.
So that is another, if you're up for it.
Yeah. We can also, those things, that's definitely a thing you can look into. That's a Monday, that's in a couple days out of the weekend.
Have you got computers that could run the deep learning one available to you?
Well, I've been clicking around on that one for a bit,
That one should be fine.
and it's been running everything very snappy. But the ones, I mean, they have like big GPUs and the ones in the NVIDIA's lab. I don't know how big we're talking, but they,
It's not a huge.
so it's not a huge thing. Those things must have like at least 16 grams.
Okay, that should be fine.
So,
Tell you the virtual desktop for geography will not run them.
okay,
That does not have enough, but
okay.
that definitely will.
Well, yeah. And
On that front, there is a deep learning thing that has to be installed alongside Arc, so it's not just Arc. There's a separate, I forget the name of it, thing.
Seems like a deep learning module or something.
Yeah. So that installs pretty easily. There's an installer, and you get it from like a GitHub site or whatever, which seems a little bit weird, but that's the way they do it.
Would that be installable on this one without admin permissions?
Probably admin, but yeah. I'm hoping to distribute admin access around a little bit.
That would be very
It
useful.
doesn't, it doesn't need to always be me. I don't necessarily want to give it to everybody because that is a bit of a security liability, but giving some thought to that.
that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Owen. We're still doing a meeting today with FRI?
Yes.
Okay,
And
and Buckman,
I'll present,
tell everybody how you're.
so on Wednesday, I was presenting my proposal, to my committee. And I think it went well. According to my advisor, I was able to answer most of the questions that was asked. And then I think the major thing that I had my committee comments about was my study areas. Yes, because if we realize that it's going to be a challenge to get permissions to fly in a typical urban environment, especially flying over people's properties and stuff like that. So we kind of thought that it would be okay if I do most of the flights on campus. And we are still thinking through about whether I should include some parks off campus, so that we are still thinking through about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam Matthews has pretty strong feelings about ethics and flying over people's houses. Which is, I think, an interesting thing to talk about. I would actually love to get together and have like a conversation about those issues. It's an interesting topic. And there's a lot of different angles that you can take it with, like is drone photography different in an important way than regular photography? Like what New York State, for instance, has a rule about taking photographs in places where there's an expectation of privacy, right? So for that reason alone, flying over a residential site is more difficult in New York State. But it's a separate question about whether that, is that an appropriate rule? Like at flight out, like if you're flying at 200 meters and you're not looking inside windows, and it becomes sort of like how is this different than like if the city wanted to hire somebody to like generate an orthophoto of the city, like that doesn't seem objectionable in a way that like flying a drone over people's houses maybe does seem objectionable. So like just kind of like thoughtfully considering those issues and having a conversation, I think would be a lot of fun. Lots of people in the department would be interested. Maybe FRI would be interested.
Good question.
Yeah.
Are you concerned about like the differences of like a campus urban environment? Like I can't like the campus is like not that urban compared to like some other urban sites. Is that like a concern or is that?
Yeah, you see, we are smiling because it came up.
Okay,
That came up, and then yes, we thought the campus is more like a refined urban environment. However, I think most of the materials in terms of features that we could find in urban environments, we can also find them in or on campus, just that they may not be in a regular urban setting. Yeah, and that came up strongly when Dr. Pengo was like, okay, so if you want to present the paper for publication and the reviewer said, you're talking about urban digital twins, but campus is not urban enough. So because of that, so it's kind of something that we are still thinking through and see how we can.
It's like
Yeah.
the kind of decision that impacts everything else that you do. So you really want to get this right. If you wind up in a position where a reviewer says, reject based on that decision, this isn't a representative sample, effectively, right? Then what do? Go back and start over and like generate all new data, like which you could do, the hard part is sort of figuring out how to do it. And if it ended up when you go to publish it and this becomes a major hiccup, okay, well, we generate more samples and we rerun the same analysis on those new samples. It's not the end of the world. It would require some revision, but you really do want to get it right now. Now's the time. So, what do you guys think? Is that it's tough to put yourself in the shoes of a reviewer, but how much would it bother you? I mean, you thought of it, like, what do you think?
I don't know. I guess I don't know. I have to think about it. But because it's like especially like at this particular campus, like does not have the density of buildings that a lot of urban environments have, which was kind of why I thought of it in like the small alleyway type stuff. Like a lot of that kind of element is gonna be missed, probably.
I was wondering if it would be worthwhile to do like at least some. The tricky part for urban areas is flying the M350 and the L2, right? It's a heavy drone, like it's line of sight and all of these other things. Like flying over people is the main thing, right? So there's going to be cars, there's going to be people. It's going to be really difficult to make sure that it's a safe environment to fly in. But those requirements for the NEO are relaxed, not line of sight, but like that's the whole point of the project is that that's legal to fly over people because it's so small. So gathering some urban data, even if we're not able to compare it to the M350, but it could be in the thesis, it could be part of the overall assessment. Same thing for handheld scanner, right? Like we could scan those urban areas, build those models, and use what we gain from the campus formal analysis to help interpret those.
I feel like that would be beneficial. At least having like a chosen site of like Johnson City or Binghamton.
Mm.
Like it doesn't necessarily have to be like super big, but have like some comparison, even with just like the handheld, I think would be beneficial.
Yeah, and we could do it in like a downtown area where like it's not such a concern about like this doesn't have the same worries as like a neighborhood, right? Where look
Yeah.
at people's homes, you know, it's like storefronts and things like that, like that. There's no expectation of privacy on a downtown city street. right?
Yeah.
Like that's a very public space. So.
Yeah.
Other thoughts?
Although with that, for stuff like the handheld though, then I feel like that would have issues with like people walking through as like you're collecting the data. It might be, I mean, I guess you could just clean it up, but that would be kind of annoying.
Yeah, I think you'd still have to pick a time that like worked really well.
Like in,
Early in the morning on a Sunday morning, you know.
yeah,
It will remove some moving people.
Yeah.
So XGrid's claims to be pretty good about. But yeah, I think you want to make it easy on it.
yeah,
Yeah. I think the time and the day is going to be a key. Because I've taken a walk on Sundays around downtown and the place looks pretty quiet. And there are a lot of people around, so.
Yeah.
You
And you might
pick
not-
the right time. Before.
Yeah, I think that's worth doing.
I don't know how feasible it is, but my thought. When I think of like imaging downtowns and things like that are like the cars that drive for like Google Maps and like all of the. Like Waymo, I think has a program where they like drive through, and I think they release some of their data. I don't know if it's LiDAR stuff though. Like direct LiDAR, but like. Maybe there's a company you can like rent one of those cars from for a day, I don't know.
It'd be worth looking for the data just to see like what it looks like. Yeah, again, even if it's not part of a formal analysis where you've got like, we compare this to that to the other. You could build models out of those and interpret them and say like, oh no, like. Notice the weird artifacting that happens here, this is incomplete, or I think it's worth looking into. We thought the same thing about like Google, like the Google 3D data, right? Like just being able to like analyze what's the quality of those in comparison to the other stuff that we're looking at. Not, you don't have any control over like how recent they are, but at least the coverage in the United States is pretty good.
Yeah.
So. All right. Anything else? Yeah.
So though I don't want to give the formal presentation today, but I want to show my slides. If you give the feedback, I can redo it and give a formal presentation next week. So may I show the
Sure.
slides?
Yes.
That's why having the title of my research work, comparing deep learning and LLM approaches for human detection and behavior characterization in indoor temporal lidar stream. And Dr. Thomas Pringle is my advisor, and I have Dr. Adam Matthews as a committee member. This is the first slide that I have. Why are indoor spaces important for, oh, sorry for the mistake. There is 4 and 2. For study. So actually there are lots of research in typical geographic projects which are based on outdoor activities like urban planning, thermal, lots of things, but very less about indoors. While people spend most of their time indoor. In a survey, we can see that the Americans spend approximately 87% of their time indoors. So which are the areas that researcher can focus on indoor? It's human environment interactions, behavioral geography, space-time behavior analysis, movement patterns, wayfinding, and safety. Why indoor human detection? So for indoor human detection, the first thing comes in our mind is safety and the security. But rather than this, there are lots of ways. Actually, indoor helps human mentally. That means indoor environments directly influence mental health. There is a relationship which called human building interaction, how people and building influence each other. And also depending on the environment of indoor, like lighting, air quality, it affects health, mood, collaboration, and safety. Why it is a concern? Whenever we talk about indoor positioning or human detection, the first thing come on our mind is CCTV camera or RGB cameras, which is really concerned about privacy. Because if in the previous picture also, this picture also, humans are recognizable. We can identify the person. So LiDAR preserves the privacy. From the LiDAR, it's not revealing the personal identification information. So it's safe to use LiDAR instead of the other methods that actually reveal the personal identification information. These are some ways how we can detect human from LiDAR streams. So in this lab, there are two important works already done. One is done by Shashank, enhancing digital twins with human movement data, a comparative study of LiDAR-based tracking methods. And another one is LiDAR-based detection and analysis of serendipitous collision in shared indoor spaces. Both of the research are published in MDPR Remote Sensing Journal. This is the proposal. The objective is to compare methods of detecting, tracking, and characterizing interaction behavior of humans in a temporal LiDAR stream. So for the methods, we are considering yellow-based models, PointNet, LLM. The research questions are: how effectively can humans and their behaviors be detected and categorized from indoor temporal LiDAR data? To what extent can LLMs parse and interpret human behavior in LiDAR rendered scenes? And the last one is: how do LLM-based approaches compare to deep learning methods like Yellow PointNet in terms of detection accuracy, behavior categorization, and computational efficiency? So why LLMs? Right now, some of the new large language models are having the quality for interpreting or analyzing human behavior from the video. But there is a challenge. They are working on the regular video, not LiDAR stream. So this is the area. The data was collected from Build project. As the area, it is selected CID building, Virginia Tech, and the area is about 225,000 square feet. It's a building of mixed use living, learning, combined everything. 11 sensors, 11 big field sensors were used to collect the data. These are the two types of data that I'm using to be rasterized data. First one is in TIFF format, and the second one is in 3D point cloud data in LAS file. The methodology that I'm going to use here: yellow percept, reshift, alignment, LLMs, and VLMs. But I believe, Professor, I have to focus more on these things before presenting. I've done with the yellow one, and for 2D detection, I was using the rasterized image, 2D rasterized image, and I use yellow V5S, yellow V5XU, and yellow V11X. If there is any chance, I will look at yellow V8 also. So among those three, I got the best performance from the yellow V5XU. And this is what look like the result of the detection. These are the performance matrices. Procedure for the percept, appointment, and LLM reasoning. This is the step actually from the last step.
No.
Sorry. So as an evaluation matrix, I will focus on the precision recall and F1 score and behavior analysis for qualitative comparison from LLM outputs. I have to check the procedure part again before presenting. This is the timeline. These are the slides what I made. My wonderful.
Great, yeah, this is great, yeah. Feedback for Priyanka?
I have a thing. So it sounds like that you're building off of what Addison and Shashank did.
Yeah,
How, maybe I just kind of missed where you explained it, but how does yours, different, yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that I kind of missed that part in the beginning.
Actually, I didn't explain that much well. So if you check in the Shashank's one, he was working on the detection.
Okay,
What
Yeah.
actually relating to my one. So in my one, I will be checking some model which is giving more accurate detection, not more better results. Also, I'm working with human behavior categorization that is not there.
Can you jump ahead 2 slides?
Which one, Professor?
One more. One more. There we go, okay. So I think one way we can make that clear is that Shashank's was really about people, like detection of people in the point stream, and he got basically this far. So these 2 things would be
Okay.
sort of compared to the
okay,
last 2 things. That might be an easy way to count it.
okay. That makes
Um,
sense.
and then the other thing is, hopefully we can detect, like Addison's paper was using like this like crafted algorithm to try to find
Yeah.
these collisions, and hopefully we're going to be able to use the LLMs to detect those, although I think that's super dicey, but that's why it's research, we'll see. The other, I think we're definitely going to be able to detect people with the other 2, but behavior, I would love it if it works, but fingers crossed. Very good.
So is it like you are comparing 3 methods,
Yeah.
More like 4.
4 methods?
What is the, oh, sorry. You-
And what? Well, I don't know how to frame it, but is it like you are going to compare which among them is able to detect humans, right?
Yes.
That's what I've seen there.
And the evolution, the last. These are the evolution metrics that I will be checking for those methods.
Okay, so you are comparing them based on these
Yeah,
methods. Okay. and you are going to qualitatively compare them.
Yes.
Quantitatively, or do you mean qualitatively?
Because I see qualitative there.
That's the behavior one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would probably, I think it's still like quantitative comparison of the detection of this kind of behavior. So I think it's still a I think the bottom one is still a quantitative comparison. Although there may be some dimensions of like interpretation of that data for sure. Data driven though.
For my own kind of curiosity, what is like the justification for like the behavioral stuff? Like, why is that important?
So the first of thing is I have to think about it, but what behavior actually depends to keep the environment. It's basically for the safety purpose also, you can check. It's not coming on my mind.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I think Addison would have said something like, well, architects are trying to design these buildings so that they build community or foster
okay.
interaction or anything like that. And this would be a way to measure that, because there's no good way to measure that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like it kind of, somebody shows up and they could sit in a lobby and they can kind of watch what people do, but like it's a
Okay.
difficult thing.
Yeah.
And so the quantitative metrics, you can actually compare different buildings, right? Like, oh, I think this building design was an improvement in this last building, or this building that was built 40 years ago, and here is how you can measure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think safety is good. I think wayfinding, you've got that on the slide. That's good, right? Like being able to track, like people get lost in certain kinds of public buildings all the time. Like, well, like that. Fine arts always comes up, and the library comes up, and like hospitals can be difficult to navigate, and they're kind of like high stakes, right? Like,
Government buildings.
yeah. So if you could measure that in some way, maybe that helps, the design of, maybe that feeds into better design. And actually it feeds into with one of the ways that you started this project was sort of looking at like just indoor positioning systems, right? So if you have LiDAR sensors that are in a building and they're tracking movement around, maybe there's a way that feeds into indoor positioning in some way. So instead of like your phone or some device trying to figure out where it is, like the building is figuring out where everyone is, and it helps. Maybe that helps like
monitoring people.
Yeah. So your phone only has to solve part of it. Like I'm over here, and then the building's like, well, then you must be this dot. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of far future a little bit, but that's a way.
So with the safety issue, do you think LiDAR, because I was thinking if it is for safety reasons, then the RGB detection are better, because that's, who it is, who is in the building and whatever the person is doing. But with the LiDAR, you just see the point clouds and whatever the person is doing or whoever it is using.
So this is for the privacy concern. You cannot record each and every one.
Yeah.
Well, let's say you had like a military base or something where you wanted to monitor,
Yeah.
incursions
If
or
there's a
something.
suspicious person, then
Yeah.
you need to be able to see who it is.
So I think that's where, oh, I can identify this as a person versus like a raccoon running by, right? Like that would be useful.
Yeah.
LiDAR also operates at night in ways that like RGB cameras
Yeah.
don't often work really well. The range on LiDAR is really fantastic. Much better directional coverage, right? Most cameras tend to be forward facing, but LiDARs can be everywhere.
Because I imagine like RGB would help like identifying a person, but like LiDAR, I guess conversely, like on the other side, it's like if it's like a time where no one's supposed to be there, then simply knowing that someone's there would be enough. And if there are other people there, then I guess you should be able to realize, hey, this person is not supposed to be here, but
Yeah.
themselves.
I was in the ER once and I saw like the security guards behind their like panel of monitors and just think like how bad of a way this is to monitor security, like 50 different monitors and like you can't pay attention to all of them at the same time. And so if you had a system where the LiDAR's job was to sort of like provide an overall view, and this is where real-time detection plays a role, right? Where I'm a security guard and I'm in charge of, you know, I've got the floors laid out, first floor, second floor, third floor, and I'm watching this LiDAR feed. You guys have seen the animations of the LiDAR that we have, right? So I'm watching people move around through the system. And especially at nighttime, like I would know when to like pay attention of like, oh, there's somebody moving around. And I wouldn't necessarily rely on this like algorithmic detection, like just having it up there and like seeing a dot start moving would be useful. But then you can also have the cameras that are like, oh, that's zone 4, like activate the cameras that would show me that perspective and have it like a brushed linked view, like being able to direct your attention to what's going on. So examples.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
All right, very good. I thought it was lovely. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at this yet, so I think you did a good job. And yeah, this is a great foundation.
On the feedback, I will try to explain more while I will be presenting it.
I think Liam's initial comment is a really good one. Like,
Yeah.
how does this build? How does it relate to previous work? How does it build on it? Yeah. All right, very good. All right, well, thanks everybody. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see some of you this afternoon.
Know where it went.
You were here yesterday.
Yeah. Where it went.
What?